Welcome to the Wrecked by Fiction podcast.
That's not a comfort read.
Yes, it is. Did I read it on my lunch break? Yeah.
So I made notes because I didn't know if there was going to be a quiz.
Hey, everything is for a grade. While I was watching a movie with my 6-year-old, yeah. I didn't know I could be both right and so fucking wrong. Wrecked by Fiction, where we read, cry, and question our emotional stability. Hey guys, it's Emma with Wrecked by Fiction, and I finished a book yesterday, probably. I think it was yesterday. And the world has been taken by storm by hockey romance, right? With the success of Heated Rivalry, the TV show by Crave, we're drowning in hockey smut right now. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not here to tell you it's a bad thing. I'm here to tell you that you're missing a very, very large subgenre of romance books. Specifically, today is the author Brittany Nicole and her series, The Boston Bolts. I just finished the most recent release, which is called Snow, and it's about Camden Snow and Savannah, and it's like a crazy in the future book. So it's the last, the most recent book in this series, and it's number 6. Let me double check. Hold on. Now, of course, my phone's going to have a panic attack. So, Snow is number 6? Yeah. Snow is number 6 in the Boston Bolts series, and Camden was the youngest player at the time when the series started. And so you go through the series, and every book, as with most interconnected standalone series, every book is about a different couple and their relationship story. And with sports romance, you follow typically a season per, or multiple seasons per relationship for that specific sport. And so this is the Boston Bolts hockey team. And it's one of the better, I've read a lot of hockey romance specifically, but sports romance in general too. And it is, I think the first one I read, because I read them out of order, was Trouble, which I want to say is book 3 in the Boston Bolts series. And I didn't really know. I read I read like the bonus chapter at the end of the last book for this book I just finished, and I didn't know if I was going to like it. I had this thought that was like, oh, it's kind of like it fast forwards, and all of a sudden Camden is grown and like grown. He's in his 40s and he's retired, and then Savannah, the female main character, is young, and she's like 27, and she is like a transplant into this kind of like already built found family. And so you get found family trope, you get the age gap where the man is older trope, you get this man's where the MMC is rich and the FMC is not necessarily poor, but she doesn't come from money. And so there are a lot of, Brittany Nicole is very good about like mingling tropes in her book series. And for this one specifically, Camden and Savannah they come from like opposite ends of the wealth spectrum. And Savannah is kind of like this self-made situation. She didn't have money growing up. She created every opportunity that she has been, given. She has worked really hard in her life. She's built herself up from the bottom. And Camden was a pro hockey player. He is grown and retired and is now acting as a recruitment coach, recruitment agent coach guy. Forgive me, don't know a whole lot about what his actual title is. And so he's got it made. He doesn't have to do really much of anything. And I want to say that this makes my Wrecked by Fiction list only because my Goodreads review for it says it almost got me. It almost made me cry. And that's because of you go through their whole love story, and it's really like Fast and Furious, and with the age gap and everything, Camden is like really far along in like he's done waiting. He's ready to start his life with the person he loves. And Savannah is still like relatively figuring it out, and she's not sure if she's ready. But she realizes that Camden is the exception, and she doesn't care that it's crazy fast and they've, known each other for 2 months or whatever it might have been. And then all of a sudden, everything kind of gets flipped on its head and secrets are revealed, and they realize not only have they not told each other everything about who they are, because even there's a point where, 60% of the way through the book, Camden realizes that he doesn't even know her last name, which is kind of crazy. And you think in like real life terms, we're not telling people we love them if we don't know what their last name is. That's kind of absurd. But this isn't real life. This is book life. This is fiction. And so Camden Snow fell in love without knowing what her last name was. And, good for him. I guess if that's what you got to do. And so you get this kind of whirlwind romance, and then everything is flipped upside down, and they separate from each other. And for I want to say the briefest of moments, but it's not brief. You think that that's it, that the end isn't going to be pretty and wrapped up in a bow, and these characters that you have spent the last 300 pages falling in love with don't get their HEA. But because I've read the first 5 books in this series, and I know Brittany Nicole's kind of MO from here, like at this point, I know that my girl Savannah is going to get her HEA. She figures it out. She finds what she needs towards the end. And so I wasn't too worried, right? But then there's a series of chapters where it's essentially Camden speaking to himself, and he says some things that really make you worry. And I just was on the edge. I almost tipped over. She almost had me thinking that we weren't going to get it, that we weren't going to get that HEA, and that they were going to walk away from each other. But I know better, and so do you. My romance readers know. And there are a few of us who read things that don't have HEAs. I get it. Sometimes we really like that, especially those of us like myself who really prefer like a fucked up story. But that's not what this is. And so to lead into the spoiler portion of me chatting about Snow by Brittany Nicole is they do get their HEA because that's how she writes. And basically, Camden is writing Savannah these like articles for a magazine. So basically, to go back, Savannah is a columnist for a like fashion magazine, and she writes, essentially they were initially supposed to be like a sex column, but when she took over writing for the column, for Calliope's column, she turned it into this like spin on how to lose a guy in 10 days, but it's trying everything absolutely insane, absurd, outrageous that you do that maybe makes a man run away from you. And, or like you go on one date and you ask him if he wants to have babies, or you go on 3 dates and then you send him your ovulation calendar, or you invite him to Christmas with your family when you've only known each other for 2 weeks. And all of those things Savannah does. She invites Camden as part of this essentially social experiment, right? And she does all of these things with the premise in mind that it will make him run away. And she quickly realizes that you can do all of this crazy, insane, absurd behaviors, but the right person molds to your crazy, right? Your crazy matches their crazy. And that's what happens with Camden and Savannah. And they fall in love amidst this wild, ridiculous behavior. And she realizes, like, this isn't for the articles anymore. This isn't for the Calliope's column. I'm not pretending. None of it was ever fake. I really do really like this man. And Camden eventually figures out that she's writing about their relationship and all of the crazy stuff she's done. And so he fucks with her. And he thinks it's funny, that, which again is another reason he's the exception, right? To this rule of like, don't say all of these things. And he takes her out to like a tantric sex class with all of his friends that are all 45 plus, and they do all of these weird, he's basically just playing pranks on her because he finally, like, he figures it out, but she doesn't know that he figures it out. And she does invite him to spend Christmas. And they wake up on Christmas and he offers her a key to his house and asks her to move in with him. And in the same breath, essentially, she finds out that her mother is Camden's ex-girlfriend from high school who cheated on him and got pregnant with someone else. And she is the baby of that, essentially, affair. And so not only is the age gapping, but Savannah is his almost baby, which is crazy to think about. Because, girl, real life, run the other direction. That's insane. But she doesn't want to. She thinks he's going to. And she's not wrong. He does. When he finds out that that's who she is, he does. He bolts. He gets stupid drunk and he gets arrested, and he gets stupid drunk in an airport and gets arrested for, breaking bottles at the bar and whatever. And he is just so heartbroken that he allowed this woman to mess with him a second time, being the mom. And whoop, come on. But on the other side of it, Savannah also finds out not only is he her mother's ex, but he had made a bet with his friend that if he could keep a girlfriend for 3 months, that his friend would let their son join the draft. Because Camden, as a recruiter, wanted their son on the hockey team. And so 2 kind of like landmines, Roshi, kind of explode at once in the same moment. But Camden doesn't know that she has found out about the bet. He only realizes that they both know that her mom is an adulterer. And so they separate, and Camden kind of implodes and explodes his life. And he is just brutal to her. He tells her to move out. He can't do this anymore. Get out of my house. And so she goes, and she's heartbroken, and she doesn't know what to do. But she's starting over, just like she has a million times, right? We know that she doesn't come from money, and she has had to do this over and over and over again in her life. Start from zero. And so she starts over from zero. She leaves and she figures it out, and she continues to write her articles, and she ends up writing an article saying, like, as it turns out, you can do all of these crazy things, and if that person is right for you, it won't matter. And she says in the article that he was the right one. He was it. And she tells her boss that she doesn't think she can do the articles anymore right now. And her boss, is gracious and whatever, tells her that she will have a job here forever, and when she's ready to come back to it, it'll be there. And the thing that made me almost cry is that Camden wants to win her back, right? And he writes an article and is posting them. He writes his own column, and he pays for the advertising to get them posted so that she can see them. And he says something that is really just kind of crazy. He continues saying things like, I miss you like crazy, and you always have me, and I can't imagine, my life without you, and until I can get you back, I'm still here, I'm always here, right? And he goes on and he says he has them posted every so often for months, and then all of a sudden the final one is posted, and this is what really got me. And so it says, the title is How You Get the Girl. It wasn't her, it was definitely me, but I lost her anyway. And he says, so while this may be goodbye, it's also a thank you. You are the love of my life, and it was the privilege of my lifetime to love you. I only want you to be happy, and I want you to know that if you ever need support, I'm here. No questions asked, no expectations needed. As for everything else, I'm letting you go. And I was not prepared. And this is, let me tell you, we're sitting at 89% of the way through the book when that final submission by Camden is released. And it had me. 89% is so close to the end. I was like, there's no coming back from that. He's done. But, I took a second. I realized, I know my girl, Brittany. I know this author. I've read her before. This isn't it. Keep my hopes up. Finish the book. See what happens. And in reality, both Camden and Savannah had done the work to be better people, to figure out how to be whole alone instead of trying to complete the other person. And you don't get a lot of that in books, right? While mental health is a pretty common topic now that we're, in books and in romance novels and things like that. And so it's not abnormal to have those conversations about therapy, but reading other people's trauma, fictional or not, because trauma is relatable, and watching these people heal is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see, especially men. See men heal from their own trauma, and to watch that happen and see what they can do and what they can create afterwards is so incredible. So they healed. Savannah and Camden both healed on their own. They figured out their own shit. And then eventually, months later, Camden walks in to the advertiser's lounge kind of the magazine that not only Savannah worked at, but also where he had agreed to, where he had been submitting, lay down, buddy, where he had been submitting those articles. And he had agreed months ago to do a photo shoot about his career and about, what he does now for the Boston Bolts and all of that stuff. But there is no organizer, and the photographer's not there, and he's kind of showed into a room, and the only person in there is Savannah. And he doesn't know what to do, but he is moving without even thinking about it. And his feet take him to her, and he's standing in front of her, and she is just grinning at him. And she's got some sort of plan, because you can so tell just, in the picture screaming from the page that he doesn't know what's going on. And she kind of tells him I healed. Thank you for giving me the space that I needed, but so desperately didn't want. And I can't believe that it took this long, but we both needed it. And then she gets down on her knees and she proposes to him. And of course, he says yes, because he's not an idiot. And they, he gets down on his knees too, and they're sobbing and loving on each other. And he pulls a ring out of his pocket, and she's like, "Oh my God, how long have you had that?" And he said, "Since the week I asked you to leave." He's like, even after submitting that last article submission, I couldn't bring myself to take it out of my wallet, and I've been carrying it around every day. He's like, I didn't think this was how it was going to end, but I hoped it would end this way. And they get there happily ever after. And this is just one of the most recent edition of Brittany Nicole's world of hockey romance, right? And Camden and Savannah have a beautiful story, and it's not super predictable, which I liked because of the crazy plot implosion that happens. And I think that for me, if I was to reread this series, I would want to probably start at the beginning, which I didn't do, right? When I did read the series initially, when I first started, I did not read it in order. I saw one, and It was, saw it on, I think I got it, on a TikTok FYP video where somebody was talking about trouble. And so that's the first one I read, but they're all incredible. I think War is probably my favorite. It's about Tyler Warren and Ava, and that is a top-notch book. I'd have to look back, but I think I ended up giving it like 4.5, maybe 5 stars. Camden and Savannah get 4 stars. I did not cry. She almost had me. So not quite top of the list, but so good. Absolutely worth 4 stars for sure. And in the world of hockey romance, the world is big, right? Heated rivalry has taken over. And I just want to say, you've got plenty of options. Whether that's you want to continue with queer sports romances, those are everywhere. There are so many good ones. You want, straight hockey romances, they're there. I have another entire, at least one, probably 2 other good series I would recommend for that specific category of book. But I think that with this being the most recent, I think it's a safe series. It's not super traumatic. The tropes are good. Brittany Nicole's always good about the, trope mingling in her novels. And so Camden and Savannah get 4 stars. They hit on the Wrecked by Fiction rating somewhere in the middle on the, emotional trauma scale. And there's another hockey romance series that we will be chatting about because it hits high on the emotional trauma scale. It definitely makes Wrecked by Fiction top 10 for sure. Roshi and I'll see you later. Bye. Wrecked by Fiction is recorded and produced by Westhouse Productions. They handle all the audio, video, and post-production, so we get a clean sound, smooth edits, and 0 tech headaches. Westhouse Productions aligns with podcasts, live music, and creative projects that want to sound professional without losing their edge.